Hello, church. As we jump into this next year, what are some of the things that you are prioritizing? What are the goals that you're making, resolutions that you have, or maybe expectations you're holding to? Here's a few things that I think need to be at the forefront of our mind if we're going to call ourselves followers of Jesus. If we bear the name Christian, these have to be at the forefront of our mind. What about the gospel? What about how we spend our time, how we spend our money, how we relate to one another or invest in relationships, let alone how are we investing in our relationship with Jesus? Let's consider these things together in this new series called First Things First, getting our priorities straight. Is it just me, or does it feel like time just keeps slipping away from us? We lose track of time all the time. We're always trying to catch up to time, and we look back and wonder where the time went. Already, my son is now 8 months old, and I continue to look back and think, man, where did that time go? All I did was blink, and here he is already crawling around, trying to figure out how to walk, talking away. It's crazy how quickly time passes. And I look at myself and I think, how am I already in my 30s? And we just don't even have this understanding of where time goes. It just kind of creeps up on us and then somehow rushes past us. We have to be considering time through the right perspective. We're told in Scripture that the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. If we know that this world is passing away along with all of its desires, but the one who does the will of God abides forever, well, how is that changing the way that we spend our time? We know that time is short, and we know that time is eternal. It's difficult for us to wrap our heads around because we kind of are trying to push forward on things that we think matter so that we can enjoy the last few years of our life in retirement before we are too old to enjoy them. And we always put things off too, thinking, well, I'll spend more time with my family when I take a vacation, if we even consider taking a vacation. And so it's unfortunate that we just keep putting things off and not prioritizing the right things at the right time. And instead, we're losing perspective as to our lifespan here. The truth is, regardless of whether we're stuck in a pandemic or regardless of whether we are just living our everyday life in the middle of a pandemic or not, our life is short. I mean, you think about us trying to live this life within, like 80, 90 to 100 years sort of thing, for those who are fortunate enough. But then, really, that's just a small portion when you look in light of eternity that goes on and on and on forever. And yet we are often focused on this part, and not even just the present. We're more focused on towards the middle, the end of that part of our lives. And then we're not focused on what happens afterwards, and we're not focused on what's happening right now. We're primarily concerned with just the someday, that opportunity we have when we are able to retire or when we achieve the certain goals that we're setting, those kinds of things. But we haven't, one, stopped to appreciate the time that we have now, and two, consider the time that we will have for all of eternity. So how do we filter through what is to be prioritized in our time? Some of those things we'll be talking about in the next upcoming videos. But today, I hope you can consider this. Are you living within God's will? Do you know what God's will is for your life? And how are you going about seeking it and finding out? Also, are you living in the present, aware of your surroundings, aware of the people around you, and slowing down enough to acknowledge the now and the not yet, and not being too concerned about the future of once you achieve some certain level of standard goals that you have. Let's consider this as we look at first things first, getting our priorities straight. What does it mean to spend our time with the right perspective? God bless your week, and we'll see you whenever.